Hello everyone, I'm John Rasmussen from the HK shooting team, here to talk to you about disassembly and reassembly of the HK MR556 rifle. The first step in disassembling any firearm is to make sure that it's unloaded. Remove the magazine if inserted, and lock the bolt to the rear. Physically and visually check the magazine well and the chamber to ensure that it's empty. Then close the bolt. The next step is to retrieve the takedown tool located in the stock. The takedown pins of the MR556 are captive, or they have a plunger lock-in, and they must be disengaged using your takedown tool. Insert the pointed end of the takedown tool into the pin and push it out. Now you can separate the upper from the lower. To remove the buffer and the spring, push down on the buffer retaining pin, and the buffer and spring will come out. Now back to the upper receiver. Flip the upper receiver upside down and grasp the charging handle. Pull the charging handle back, and the charging handle and the bolt carrier group will come out as one. Remove the charging handle from its recess in the upper and set it aside for now. Moving on to the bolt carrier group, the first step is to remove the firing pin retaining pin. Note that the firing pin retaining pin is captive and it will not come out all the way. Using your takedown tool from the right side of the bolt carrier group, now actuate your firing pin safety and remove your firing pin and your firing pin spring. The next step is to remove the cam pin. Notice that you have to turn the cam pin 90 degrees before it will come out. Now you have the bolt separated from the bolt carrier group. To remove the extractor, simply push either direction on your extractor retaining pin. Use caution, as when you remove the pin, there's a small spring and a plunger that can be easily lost. Now let's move back to the upper receiver. To remove the handguard, use an Allen wrench and unscrew the handguard retaining bolt. The handguard retaining bolt is also captive and it will not come all the way out. Slide your handguard forward off of the barrel, which exposes the piston system. Grasp the piston operating rod, retract it slightly to the rear, and then slide it either left or right so it will clear the piston. Now you can remove the piston. Your MR556 rifle is now completely disassembled, ready for inspection or cleaning, and no further disassembly is necessary. All right, now that your MR556 has been disassembled, inspected, and cleaned, let's put it back together. Starting with the upper receiver, let's put our piston back in and the operating rod. Notice that there's a flat section back here that interfaces with the barrel nut. Make sure that the flat surface of the operating rod rests against the barrel nut. Slide the operating rod through the upper receiver, retract it slightly, and then move it into the piston. Take your handguard, slide it over the receiver, making sure that it's flush into the receiver. Then take your Allen wrench and tighten the bolt. Now take your bolt and assemble your extractor. Being very careful to line up the hole in the extractor with the hole in the bolt itself. And slide your retaining pin in. Now insert the bolt back into the bolt carrier. Insert your cam pin and turn it 90 degrees. Insert your firing pin and firing pin spring. Move your firing pin safety out of the way. And slide your firing pin retaining pin back into position. Flip your upper receiver upside down. First, install your charging handle into the keyed recessed area in the upper receiver and slide it in about halfway. Now take your bolt carrier group upside down, slide it all the way in, and close the dust cover. All right, now back to the lower receiver. To reinstall the buffer and the spring, simply drop the buffer and the spring back into the buffer tube, past the buffer retaining pin. Make sure that your front and rear takedown pins are all the way out. Grasp your upper receiver and the lower receiver and mate the two surfaces. Line up the front and rear takedown pins. Use the takedown tool to press the plunger and push the pins in place. Now reinstate your takedown tool back into the stock. Replace the recoil pad and twist into position. Do a quick function test. Make sure everything works properly, and your MR556 is ready to go back to the range.